I think there's several angles that need to be addressed, several opportunities that we might be missing. I remember when I first started at the school with my children, we had a very big gala event we used to put on once a year that was a huge fundraising effort that used to contribute to the additions that this building has been given. That's one way for huge initiatives to be met by a lot of work from parents and community members to put that on. I do see grants as another option, a very viable option. I know at the college I work for, we get large amounts of grants that keep our program functioning, so I don't think that that should be overlooked. I also think the middle school, we really need to buff up our community interest in our middle school. We need to start getting the word out that this is a good middle school and have more interest here. We need to have an event where surrounding middle school students can come and see our school and see what we have to offer and see the benefits that we have a waiting list, like many of our core knowledge schools around in northern Colorado. We need to show them what we have to offer so that we don't have empty spots. And I think we need to move beyond sustainability. We need to be looking futuristically. We need to be planning for the future. Education is going to keep losing money. It's the easiest area to take away from. It's been proven time and time again. We need to be looking ahead. How can we stay viable? Where can we start putting money aside so that when money gets cut, we're still okay and we don't have to cut positions or programs?
Thank you.
I would admit I don't have much in grant writing or trying to solicit funds or anything to that effect. I know in the health field where I work, we're hurting very bad too. And I know my company is being proactive and cutting back and doing whatever they can up front. So when or if Obamacare comes through, we're not going to be hit as hard as you need to, or as it could be hit. So I think you just, like some of the others have said, you know, you just got to try and do any events that you can. And I know this adds to maybe more of the money, but I would like to see somehow a charter school for high school in the area instead of everybody going to Fort Collins or Greeley or something to that effect. I mean, I think maybe we can all also work together on what we can do to get that going also.
You know, I think that what Laura had to say was really good in terms of a lot of the grants, because working in higher ed, we live on grants a lot of the time. And I know that we wrote some technology grants this year that did not get funded, and I think we need to be persistent though. I think that there are a lot of grants out there that can be written for. The problem that we have is we don't have the kind of support to help write those grants all the time. And then we have to be careful with the grants that we write to be sure that the cost of the grant, of implementing the grant, isn't more than the grant itself. For example, you can get a grant for some classroom equipment, but then all of the reporting costs and the upkeep costs and your contribution sometimes costs the school a lot more in the long run than what the grant was worth in the first place. So we have to be cautious when looking at some of those grants. Additionally, I think there's a real opportunity here, and one that I've seen in attending the board meetings and in some of the parent feedback, and that is that some parents feel that 35 hours a week is too much for them to personally give because they have difficult family situations, or they're two working families or a one working parent. And I think there's some opportunities here to use our parents more effectively in ways that parents want to be involved. For example, I know that Tracy goes around and checks the perimeter of the building all the time and checks the fence. Well, that doesn't take that much time, but for Tracy to have to do that, it takes away from her being in the classroom. And it takes away from her being able to work with our teachers to improve the classroom experience. And so pieces like that. We have to monitor the elevators, and she has to monitor the fire safety equipment. We can have a parent that works in Windsor, that spends a half hour once a month, or however often those things need to be checked, take them off of our principals' plates and let our principals do more. And so I don't think it's always about raising more money all the time. I think it's also about using our resources more effectively. The only other piece I'd add is that I know that the board has been discussing an annual give sort of a thing, so that we do plan for the future. And it goes in line with that gala idea. And there are families here that would love to be able to support the school in that way. And so for those families, I think that's fine, as long as there's not a lot of pressure and that there's a recognition that not everybody is socioeconomically well off to be able to participate in an annual give for that. But I don't think that would hurt, especially if there are families out there that would like to take that step.
Well, you guys all covered. I'm done.
You know, everything everybody
I
else
know,
said.
everything they said. But basically, living within your means is something that the schools and the government has to get used to doing. And if we have to plan on having budget cuts for the next 10 years, then we need to plan on that and plan accordingly. Whether it's going to be the galas or the grants or fundraisers or whatever we need to do. But be creative in your budgeting and make the hard decisions. I mean, hard decisions are going to have to be made. They may not be popular, but that's what the board is elected to do.
Thank you, everyone. We have time for one more question.